This video is basically just me trying to justify expensive purchases. So now you know. Okay, it's very expensive to buy new things, especially in the tech world. And I've gotten really frustrated recently at how much money everything costs, whether it's cameras, drones, computers, phones. I didn't mean to rhyme, but just everything costs tons of money. And even if you have the money, isn't it just frustrating that every generation of tech is just a little bit better, but they still charge the price as if it's just a lot better? I don't know, kind of irks me. So in this video, I want to tell you how I go about buying the latest tech stuff, because on one hand, I don't want to get left behind and not have any upgrades for the next years, but I also don't want to go broke. So I'm trying to find that balance. I think I have it. I want to tell you about it. Let's get into it. So let's start things off with a graph. I like graphs. Here's one. This is called the law of diminishing returns. It says that at some point, more of the same stops paying off. Quick little example here talks about the number of cooks in the kitchen versus the quality of the broth. So starting off, no cooks, no broth, 0. Makes sense. As we add a cook, the broth quality goes up substantially, and let's call it 1, okay? It gets to about a 1 on the output side. As we add that second cook, the quality goes up again. Excellent. But if you have a close look at the quality, the first cook makes it go up a good amount. The second cook, it isn't quite the same. It's actually a little bit less, and that makes sense, right? We're looking at a curve here. We're getting a little bit less on the quality side as a jump compared to the first jump. Zooming back out, we see the same thing happens even more so when we add our third cook. Yes, of course, the quality gets better. One person's chopping, one person's stirring, one person's cleaning the dishes for the next round. Excellent. But again, the jump on the quality side is just way smaller, and you can really see this one here compared to the previous jump, and especially compared to the first jump. So knowing how to look at this law of diminishing returns and identify it and then use it in your purchasing is a really great way to find great value when you're buying things. So now let's take a look at an example that actually has to do with tech, because you probably don't care about cooking. Here is the vlog diminishing returns. So this time our input is going to be money and our output is going to be the overall quality of the video. So I've started this graph with the output quality already at 1, even with a $0 spend, because I think that everyone has a phone and phones are really decent at getting started and getting comfortable talking to cameras and learning lighting and all these things. So even with a $0 input, you could still get good quality. But let's say you want more. Let's say you want to get a second angle, maybe like an A cam and a B cam. It's kind of expensive, again, right? It's a lot of money. But if you were to get something like a GoPro, especially a used one, then you can kind of do that, right? You can get the second angle, you can do a hyperlapse or a time lapse. It's just a decent way to improve your setup with a small upgrade. So let's say you have $200, that will get you a GoPro 6, I think. And also this is Canadian dollars, by the way, too, because I'm Canadian, but around a GoPro 6. If we look, our output quality goes from a 1 to a 2. Now that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but just stick with me here, okay? If you add another $200, you're doubling your initial investment. That gets you to about a GoPro 9 range. Well, the GoPro 9, it's got better battery life than the 6, it's got better stabilization, better video quality, and now your output still increases, but it goes up quite a bit less. Still a great investment. These cameras are great, but it's not quite as much of a jump as the first time around. Let's add another $200 to our input. Now we're spending $600. That will buy you a GoPro 11. GoPro 11 is the best GoPro you can buy at the time of recording this video. And boom, top of the curve. Now I didn't really draw the second half because typically in tech things don't get worse, typically. So we're just gonna be focusing on the first half of the graph today. So if we have a look, going from 0 to 200 brought us all the way up to a 2 from a 1, right? So we had a nice like 100% increase along here. We do the same thing again, we add $200, but our jump is only 0.5. As we add another $200, the same $200 that brought us from a 1 to a 2, now on the very upper end, we're talking 2.5 to 2.75. So as you add more money, yes, of course, you're gonna get a better camera, but the value you're getting for that money is decreasing or diminishing, hence the whole name of the law of diminishing returns. Now, of course, you just saw me make this graph, so maybe you don't agree with the scaling or the axes or even just the whole premise, and that's okay. To each their own, we all spend money differently, but this is my view when it comes to how I want to spend money to upgrade my stuff. Now, of course, if you're someone who owns a production company, or you're someone who really needs like the reliability of the latest and greatest, you want the warranty, all those things, okay, yeah, you know what, maybe this concept isn't for you. But I found a really good success in trying to find that balance point of value, right? Not just output in terms of like the quality of the video, but the value you get per dollar invested, if that makes sense. So at this point then, if you know the curve, you're looking for it, you're trying to find that good value, how do you do it? And for that, I have two answers. The first one is to skip the best, and the second one is to never buy new. So let me explain. So number one, skip the best. If you look at a company, say Apple, for example, they will make a budget version of something to get people in the door. They'll make a mid-tier version, and then they'll make like the prosumer version, right? So like Apple Watches, for example, the SE is the bottom one, the 8 or 7, whatever number we're on now, is the mid-tier, and then the Ultra, right? That's the high end for the climbers and the people who do the crazy sports. That's the top end. And I've sort of accidentally started to never buy the best, or what did I say? Skip the best. Because the premium that you're paying to get that thing that's the best is only really valid for the time period between when it comes out and the next generation, right? You pay the premium for the best iPhone there is right now until the next one comes out, and then the next one comes out. So by buying the best one, yeah, of course it's cutting edge tech, it's gonna have the best camera or the best flight characteristics if it's a drone, or the best processor if it's a computer. But that only really applies from day one until the next day one when the next one comes out. So by skipping the best one and avoiding that like brand new flagship premium and going for more of a mid-tier thing, you can usually save a ton of money. And then with that ton of money, you can either make like a savings account, pay off some debts, or what I like to do, which is buy other stuff with that money that's saved, not really, but you get it, from the best thing to the mid-tier. And the best part is that you don't usually really miss out that hard, because once all the hype has died down and the reviewers have done their cycle and we're on to the next thing, that'll work pretty good. Anyway, at least I find, like, unless you're a really top tier user of the thing, it's fine. But maybe you're hearing me talk about all this stuff and you're thinking, dude, like, I get it, skip the best, but I kind of like the best, you know? Sometimes, well, it's the best, right? Like, why would you not want to get the best? And to you, I say that I totally get it. I am absolutely a victim of choosing the best because it's the best. Example, Mavic 3 right here. This thing is huge overkill for my channel. I do not need a drone that's this powerful for little 3-second B-roll clips that you're gonna watch on your phone in compressed YouTube, like not at all needed, right? But the way that I got it was by not getting it new. I actually got it a year and a bit after it came out. And funny enough, I actually traded some stuff for it, but let's pretend I bought it with money. It would have been like $400 or $500 cheaper when I got it than when it first came out. Plus, sometimes things actually get better over time. Like the Mavic 3, when it first came out, the firmware wasn't even totally dialed, right? So the telephoto lens didn't actually shoot manual until like months after. And the return to home was being funny. And even, okay, forget this drone, the Avata came out, it was falling out of the sky until they started patching it like 2 months after, right? So by waiting, you would have actually gotten a better thing. Not just money, but in terms of the performance, right? And then speaking of money, if you go for the never buy new route, now it's not just what is the MSRP of this thing. It's, can I find it secondhand? Can I find it on a Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace type thing? Can I find it at a Amazon warehouse deals where it's been bought but then returned? Is it an Apple product which has a great refurbish program where they actually check everything over and it's basically like buying a brand new thing? Because those are really good ways to get the exact same product once the hype has died down a little bit, but at a much better value than had you signed up day one, here it is, take my money. It's just not for me. Now the big disclaimer here is that maybe you are, in fact, a working professional who needs the best thing, you need the reliability, you need the cutting edge, you need the stuff. If that's you, move on. Honestly, this video is really not for you. You probably know what you already need anyway. But if you're someone like me who kind of likes to get new things, I like to try out new stuff and experience technology and see what's out there, this is a pretty good way to do it, because then you can shoot on an A7 III with an iPhone 12 and an iPad that's a little bit older, and you can use that money to then go into the next thing and still experience all this cool tech, but without the crazy price tag. Yeah, it's just a fun way to do it. Also, you're seeing a little bit of the inside workings of how I justify expensive purchases, especially when like it feels like you're saving, even though you're not really saving, right? Like saving money on the top end when I'm buying the mid-tier, still spending all the money to get to the mid-tier. But it feels a lot better. You know, it feels a lot less spendy when you do it in this whole like budgety way. I don't know. If you're like me and you're like that, then maybe you like this video. And if you like the video, hit thumbs up. If you enjoyed, want to see more, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.